Get ready for Black Hole Zion. That's a good segue in.
Yep.
What is up, everybody? Daniel Bonner, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's in the nice rainy Sunday. We're spending it together here.
Yes. Draft is over.
The draft is over.
Yeah. Looking forward to the football. To the footballs.
Yeah, there's a lot of things happening. A lot of things percolating. Hell of a job, Mr. Bonner, on Friday representing 13 Palm Shade.
Oh, you did a good job.
Nah, man, I was just there. I was your emotional support animal.
You were.
I was your emotional support animal. I was just there. I bought us a cocktail before, but I didn't add much.
Yeah, that cocktail made me have to run to the bathroom about 10 minutes before it was over. I couldn't hold it.
Well, no one told you to drink 14 coffees or whatever the hell it was before
You're right.
you got started.
Like 4 or 5 coffees, no food, and a 16-ounce beer before this panel caused me to have to relieve myself.
Yeah. Feel sorry for the good people at the Marriott cleaning those facilities.
Yeah.
I'm sure the slaughterhouse that you left behind was fun to manage later.
Yeah, that was the first thing I did when we got there. But anyway.
Probably thought that there was a medical issue involved.
Yeah.
But big shout out to our girl Cecily for putting that all together. She did a really great job mediating and organizing that event. So it was fun to be considered a young entrepreneur, if you could call us that, as you said.
Yeah.
Kind of a couple of freaks with facial hair, a couple of weirdos. And what do we have here? The Godfather visiting us, ruining our introduction. And he just took his pants down.
Weird.
Nice.
It's not a good intro unless somebody
does something terrible. So what do we got this week, Daniel?
We've got Black Hole Zion, the singer from Black Hole Zion. The rest of the band didn't show up. But he said that he, is the voice of the band anyway, so.
The voice, the face.
There's a lot of, it's about a 2-hour episode.
Oh, wow.
As you can see. There's a hair on me.
So everyone better get ready for that.
Yeah.
Get your popcorn ready.
A lot of Star Wars talk in it.
Oh,
and his favorite character is Jar Jar Binks.
What? Is that a joke?
I guess you're going to have to listen to the episode and find out.
I'm not even a huge fan, and that kind of makes me mad.
I think it's more of like a joke. He says it to
the people who get really excited about May the 4th and what have you.
Yeah.
Which
is an appropriate episode to come out this Thursday since May the 4th just happened. And rest in peace, Meter Payhu.
Yes.
Peter Mayhew.
Yes.
Peter Mayhew. I'm just kidding.
It's very insensitive, Daniel.
Piss off a lot of people with that one.
Very insensitive.
Yeah.
So I guess this is the time that we give Worst Kept Secret a shout out or something.
Unfortunately.
I guess they got a mediocre new release out. They coupled it with a terrible beer that they put out. I heard it tastes like rusty nails and kind of like
it's even called Dirty Blonde.
Yeah, like the water in a wishing fountain. It would taste coppery and like you would absolutely get some kind of bubonic plague from it.
Yeah, I can see that.
They're serving that up. But yeah, Worst Kept Secret. They have a song. It's called Bender. We unfortunately are contractually obligated to play it in every episode. So be sure you request it at every Worst Kept Secret show at a venue near you.
They're actually playing tonight, if you're listening to this, at the Rex Theater up in Pittsburgh.
Oh, with
He Is Legend.
Yeah.
Crowbot, The Damn Things.
That's the Scott Ian band, isn't it? And the singer from Every Time I Die? I believe
I'm
it is.
I'm shrugging my shoulders right now.
I believe that it is.
Yeah.
So congratulations on playing a mediocre pay-to-play, jerk-offs.
So there's something up with the Disillusion Effect, too, isn't there?
There is. We recently were accepted to play a music festival in August.
In Pawnee.
In Muncie, Indiana. No, the town is Pawnee.
It's Pawnee, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then Bob doesn't know what the hell
Bob's
he's talking
full of
about.
shit.
He just got excited. But yeah, the DE doing big things. So get ready for a series of announcements. We got some shows coming up out of the gate. Working on tasty, eerie jams.
Yes.
Tell you what, all I can say is darkness.
Darkness.
It's an Ed Green reference. Blackest motherfucker on the planet. It's the best.
Blows my mind.
So
we have a Patreon. Before
no
we
wonder
get to the
no wonder
episode.
that doesn't do well because we forget about it.
Patreon.com/wasted local talent. Mm-hmm. We've got some goodies.
We'll leave you a voicemail. We'll send incriminating photographs of ourselves. At least me and Daniel will. I'm not going to speak for anyone who's not here. I know Jed's a little self-conscious. He'll give you a butt pic, but that's all he's good for. So if you're in the butt pic market, you can get that. But we have...
oh, God, that's a butt.
We got all kinds of stuff. Subscribe to Rabbi's Rants, the Wasted Confessionals. There's bonus content out the yin yang. We got swag.
Yeah, we're actually going to be restructuring it again here soon. Trying to get
More bang for your bucks.
Some monthly giveaways to some local businesses, things like that. We just got to talk to these local businesses to see if they want to do that.
They do.
But yeah. So, yeah, Wasted Local Talent on Patreon. Yeah, so now Black Hole Zion.
Cause this is our home, this is right where we belong. Be proud of the places.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Jed.
And he's still bald, and today we're wasting our talent with
Mark from Black Hole Zion.
Black Hole Zion. So where did you get the name Black Hole Zion? I'm curious about that. I've actually always been curious about it.
Oh, okay. Man, nobody's ever asked that question before.
I like to know
right.
the story behind a band name.
All right, cool. Well, I actually have an answer to that. Surprising.
Most bands don't, which is I'm glad you do.
So the idea for that band was originally I wasn't sure if it was actually going to be a band, but I knew like I had this music and I wanted to collaborate with friends and stuff. But a lot of the stuff that I was working on, it was really like spacey in nature in terms of like the sound and also like some of the lyrical stuff. So the idea was like, excuse me, the world is so kind of miserable sometimes that you just want to just, this is a little negative. I'm not that negative of a person, but just end it all or like literally like dive into the black hole and just like escape from everything, not just this earth, but the whole dimension that we're in.
Yeah.
And so the idea is like, well, what if by doing that, you actually find like the promised land for you? So it's like using that negativity to turn it into something like positive and
okay.
energizing. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, most bands that I ask, I'm like, where'd your band name come from? They're like, we saw it on a sign somewhere. It's like, cool. Like there's hardly ever like a deeper meaning.
No, I thought a lot about it, and I even made sure that it like had an even number of like syllables, and I don't know why I did, but I was like, I feel like it needs to have an even number of syllables, and I want it to express that. But nobody's ever asked me that question before. So.
It flows like Black Hole Zion. Like it flows better than having like like you said, different words with different amount of syllables. It makes it easier to actually say.
It just sucks to type out.
Yeah.
So sometimes I just write BHZ.
BHC.
Yeah.
It's all labeled the episode just BHC. Everybody's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Big heckin' zonkers.
So I know the first time I booked you guys at the cafe.
Yeah, that was our first show.
Was it really?
Yes, that was our
Shit.
first show and our third time playing together.
Damn.
Wow.
I did not know that. So I think I booked you. It was with last year's model, correct? Was it that show?
That was the second.
Was it the second show? Because I remember booking, and I remember the thing. Like I was like, I need to find a band that fits last year's model. That's kind of like along the same sound, ish.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys were the ones that kind of stuck out to me, so I booked you together. But not realizing like last year's model is a very Christian based band, and your band I know is not a very. it's kind of the opposite of that.
Kind of. We're very science based.
Yeah. So it was like, I remember that, and every time in my memories, I still get that. I think it was the Katy Perry flyer. Was it?
Oh, yeah.
And I made a Katy Perry flyer for it, and I remember getting to the venue, and I was like, what did I do? It was almost as bad as the time that I booked like a bunch of hardcore metal bands during Jesus Fest, but we won't get into that.
Jesus Fest?
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go to Jesus Fest.
It was crazy. Well, do you know, what's his name? Like the black metal band from Morgantown. I forget the band name, but they played, and he went out and took the Jesus Fest sign, like the banner, and wore it around him on stage. I was like, man, it's so bad. But it was funny. I made him put it back. I'm like, I don't want my
That's
venue to
nice
get
of
shut down
you.
because of that. But But yeah, I just that whenever I first booked you on here too, I was like, that's the one thing that sticks out to me about your band was remembering that I booked you with like a Christian band, and I know that like it was kind of the show went really well though.
Yeah, they were nice dudes
Yeah.
too.
Mhm.
I've lost track of them since, but yeah, they were nice dudes. And I do tend to joke a good bit about like Satanism and stuff like that. And I think sometimes people take it the wrong way.
Yeah.
I don't really care all that much, but I find it a very amusing. The same reason that I like Jar Jar Binks is the greatest Star Wars character that was ever created. I mean, that's just common knowledge,
It's
right?
gonna hit a lot of people. You posted something the other day, didn't you? Like you were next to a standee of Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, I
and
tried
you were
to buy
just
it.
like- Did you really?
Yeah, fucking dude would not sell it to me. I was like, how much for this? Name your price. He was like, I'm not selling it. I think he's like me. He probably just enjoyed that it probably bothered people walking in the shop, seeing it. Like, he probably, because I like that a little bit. You know, I tease my Star Wars friends. That's how it all started. It was just like teasing Star Wars friends because like I'm a Star Wars fan, but people get really bent out of shape about Star Wars,
or Star Wars lore and all that stuff. Like, I love Star Wars, but I try to talk about it with my band. And Jake and Marshall both they read all the books and everything. They're like so deep.
Marshall
into
can
that.
read?
Yeah, I think so. He might have to have his son read to him.
Oh, okay.
But
That's fair.
but it's like I'm not that deep into it. Like I don't study the lore or anything.
I've gone
like
pretty
that.
deep. I've got some books.
Have you?
Yeah, I've got some books. I might even have a couple lightsabers at home.
I mean, the lightsaber. I think everybody, especially growing
So
up.
no lie. Hold on. I'm going to interrupt you here. So no lie. Yesterday, I was doing what I thought was possibly the most nerdy thing that you could ever do conceivably.
We
and
played
that
D&D.
is- So are you familiar with a Grom?
No.
Okay, so a Honda Grom is like a little tiny motorcycle. It's like 125cc, not very big at all.
It looks just like a crotch rocket, but
Really small
for kids.
Like,
That's what it
like
looks
when I
like.
sit on it,
not
it's
like
like
the little tiny ones, but
like
you know.
it,
Okay,
it weighs the same amount that I do. Like
Okay.
it's very, very, very small, and I look super comical on it. I have a big milk crate on the back of it, so it looks ridiculous. And I have a little phone mount that I got so that I could mount my phone to my handlebars. And I was riding through Fairmont yesterday with my wife. We were actually going to Puffer Bellies to get food. And I was like, yo, I want to stop and get some Pokestops for Pokemon Go because there's like a special research I'm trying to get. And she's making fun of me, like as I'm pulling over to these stops and like spinning the stops and catching the Pokemon. And she's like, you look like such a fucking nerd. And then, which she plays too. But so I'm like, yo, I want to run through Palatine because if nobody knows, Palatine Park has like 8 different Pokestops in it.
Yeah,
and
I
a
used to
gym.
do the rounds
Yeah.
around that. Yeah.
So I'm rolling through Palatine to hit all the stops, and I shit you not, down in Palatine Park, there's like a dozen people down there doing lightsaber battles.
And
And I was like, wow, you guys one-upped me. Like, I really thought I was going to be the most ridiculous looking person out here today. And it's like, holy shit.
I actually went down and did that with them a couple of times. Yeah.
I mean, it looks so much fucking
It's-
fun, but I can't even tell you how bewildered I was because, like, for people that don't know,
was
the
dark when you
lightsabers,
went?
no, they weren't lit up. They weren't lit up. So
Well, that's
that
not fun.
I think that made it even more ridiculous was that they weren't lit up. So it's just these huge white lightsabers that they're fighting with. And I honestly at first thought they were fighting with pool noodles. Until I stopped and looked, and I was like, "Those are lightsabers."
Well, isn't
Yeah.
it becoming like an actual sport in some countries now, where they actually have like
I think there's
lightsaber
like
duels?
competitive,
Yeah,
like
There's a-
almost like competitive gaming. Like
There's a
lightsaber
big scene
battles.
for it in New York.
in New York.
Yeah. So I wanted to be into it because I did martial arts for many years. But I think that group is more inclined to do like theatrical things and like performances for kids and stuff like that. And I just wanted to fight somebody.
Yeah.
So. But they're
I did
all
notice
pretty nice
a lot of the people doing it were younger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it looked like they were being like trained.
Yeah, you gotta learn all your forms. There's 7 forms. The Soresu, Ataru, what are all Vapad? I'm trying to remember.
I actually just got schooled on this
by.
by a coworker because he was explaining to me why like Obi-Wan is one of the most
He's the best.
powerful lightsaber duelists
Form
because
2.
he uses Form 2. Yeah.
I didn't even, Jesus Christ, I didn't know it
Yeah.
was that deep.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
Count
man.
Dooku uses Form 1, right? Or is it Form 4?
Form 4 for Count Dooku.
Yeah, Form 4.
1 might be Anakin. Somebody's going to listen and be like, he's full of shit. He doesn't remember. But I think Dooku is Form 4, that fencing style.
Yeah.
I knew there was like a lot of backstory and lore to Star Wars, but I didn't know like it came down to like different forms of like, training for, lightsaber. Like,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
There's a really cool book. It's like after Episode 2 and before Episode 3, and it's like there's a little encounter between Yoda and Count Dooku, because at one time, of course, everybody was Yoda's student.
Yeah.
And I remember reading it. No, I don't even want to say in case somebody decides to read the book. So, but I like Yoda says this line, and I started to cry for just a minute because he says it to Count Dooku. It just like really hit me. Sorry.
So before we get back on the topic of your band,
Oh,
I want to know your feelings about the new Star Wars movies that have been
Oh
coming out.
man, I'm so glad you asked
Yeah,
this.
because
Do you like 'em?
I have my personal feelings about each of them.
I do too.
But I want to know if they kind of line up with yours.
So, Force Awakens was fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. Yeah, it was very derivative of the original trilogy and all those everything bad that people say about it. It's true, but I thought it was fun. It left me feeling a little like empty, like not completely satisfied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It made me actually miss the prequels, and everybody listening is going to hate that.
Yeah.
Because there was something about the prequels, as much as like George Lucas had like bad dialogue at times and things, like I felt like his world building was so good. Like he was able to build these immersive worlds, and I don't feel like they captured that.
Yeah.
But they captured the fun for sure. Rogue One, I liked it. Was fine.
Loved Rogue One.
Had a good soundtrack, everything. Like it was like not what I was expecting, and I liked that. Last Jedi, couldn't get into it.
Really?
I saw it twice, and that's for me. That's like not very many times to see a Star Wars movie. I saw it once on opening night in my Star Wars costume. And then I saw it one more time in the theater, and I just like, I wasn't one of those people that were like, oh, it's an awful movie. And this, like, it just, I felt like there was some stuff in it that just wasn't doing it for me. It just kind of left me like, really? But I don't completely hate it. Solo, I felt like was pretty fun. I know some folks didn't like that. I love the ending of Solo, which I won't spoil.
I haven't even seen it yet.
Okay, well, and I definitely won't spoil it. But I just, in general, I feel like it's fine, but it's for whatever reason, and I don't know if it's nostalgia, makes me miss those prequels, man. So that's part of the reason why the whole like Jar Jar thing I started joking about with my friends and stuff too, because I was partially serious in a way, because like, that's a little comforting to me to see this horrible character that everybody hates, and it's like, well, Disney hasn't done anything that's like been that amazing to me compared to that. I mean, I know the acting, the performances are better and that kind of thing, but I don't know. Did I give you a long-winded answer to
Oh
that?
no, that was good. Like I honestly wasn't a fan of Solo. I thought it was like it might have been like the nostalgia thing. Like you grow up like and you're watching Han Solo. You're watching him. And then like The Force Awakens. All that. Where he's older. But I don't care how he met Chewie. Like I don't care how Chewie got his gun. I don't care how they got. I thought the whole.
I've heard it was a lot of fan service.
I
It
was just going to
it
say
was.
that, yeah.
Like, the whole, what the fucking,
How he got his vest and
yeah, just everything. It was just like,
all that.
I don't need to know this stuff. I don't need to watch you, fly, the Millennium Falcon.
leave
for the
some
first time.
mystique.
Yeah, it's like, it's almost like you take this character who, and everybody's got that, like, maybe backstory mindset to it. And then you actually put it in film form, and it's just like, almost like a letdown,
No, I'm with you. And
So-
what bothers me is like when some folks are like totally trash the prequels, and then they'll like praise these other movies. I'm like, really, if you think about it, if you weigh out the pros and cons, I really don't think that they're that much, that one is really that much better than the other. I would lean towards the prequels being a little bit better overall, but
yeah, the Kessel run in Solo really kind of, because that was like the biggest thing. It's like the Kessel Run. It's
Did
like,
you feel a little like about
Yeah,
it?
it was just like, it was kind of, it was cool.
Yeah.
Like thanks for ruining that whole, mystique about it. But
I really, if they're going to do anything, I want like an Obi-Wan movie with Ewan McGregor. Like have it take place between episode 3 and A New Hope. Anytime during that period, I feel like, he's at an age where they could go any direction with it. Like that's what I would want them to do. But
See, I've always wanted to know. So I'll jump in here and tell you. I loved Last Jedi. I think it's probably my second favorite. And I'm biased because for me, growing up, the first Star Wars movie that I ever saw was Phantom Menace. And I still think that's my favorite Star Wars movie.
Phantom Menace?
Phantom Menace.
Dude, it makes me just want to come over and hug you.
And I'll tell you why.
like that.
I'll tell you why. So I had never. So it wasn't the first Star Wars movie that I had ever seen. I had watched bits and pieces of the first Star Wars movie, but it was the first one that I ever like sat down, watched all the way through, and enjoyed. I'll put it that way. I think I was too young prior to Phantom Menace coming out to really be able to sit through the original Star Wars movies because they were old. I mean, the effects looked terrible, the acting was awful, like it just wasn't cool to me. And what I loved about Phantom Menace as a kid was the lightsaber battle and Darth Maul. I thought Darth Maul was an excellent villain.
and you haven't seen Solo?
And no, I haven't seen Solo.
You got to see Solo.
Got to see Solo.
Okay. But the
That
lightsaber
confused me, by the way, because I didn't know the backstory behind everything. But continue. Sorry.
So the lightsaber battle and the soundtrack and everything just blew me away from Phantom Menace. It was just so awesome. And then growing up, now I still hold firm that I think that is one of my favorites because throughout the prequels and the originals, Obi-Wan is an integral character to the story. I mean, he influences so much that happens. And Darth Vader is also an Anakin, a very, 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 very integral character into the story. I mean, with Luke, and you think about all the repercussions of his actions and everything, and getting to see that story arc play out between Obi-Wan, where they introduce him as a Padawan, and he's reluctant to take on this youngling, and
Does it out of
Qui-Gon
obligation.
Jinn convinces him to after Darth Maul kills him in this epic battle, and then you get to watch as Anakin is slowly pulled into the dark side, and as Obi-Wan tries to ignore it and tries to steer him in the right direction and does everything he can out of obligation to Qui-Gon and fails ultimately. And it's just such a heart-wrenching story arc.
I agree 100%.
And yeah, the acting was bad. Hayden Christensen sucked. Sure.
But you
some
know
of the
what?
dialogue was bad. But the
don't-
originals were awful.
Yeah.
I don't even
Like-
know I don't think Hayden Christensen sucked. I think that the stuff he was given and the direction he was given sucked. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's
There
probably
was definitely
a capable
failure on
actor.
multiple levels.
But I love when people start like trashing the prequels. I'm like, you can't, because no matter what you say, we got young Obi-Wan, we got Qui-Gon Jinn, and we got Darth Maul. And
Yeah.
those are all awesome characters.
And I thought General Grievous was sweet. I thought
I
the
love
Clone
Count
Wars was
Dooku.
awesome. Count Dooku was sick. You finally get to see Yoda in action. And a lot of people complained that the prequels were too campy, but it's like the original movies were campy.
Yeah, they totally
That
were.
was why people liked it. Like, it's not supposed to be all grown up and mature. Now, going back to what I was originally saying about Last Jedi. Now, I kind of agree with you where Force Awakens, I really enjoyed it, but it was just okay. I saw it. There was nothing wrong with it. The action sequences are great. I really do like how, Finn, the aspect of him and then Rey, and like, they kind of leave it open-ended where it's like, is Finn a Jedi too? Like, and there's, you're kind of trying to figure out where they're going with it. But I loved Last Jedi because what I really, really, really loved about Last Jedi was that, and spoiler alert here, if anybody has not seen Force Awakens or Last Jedi, just, I don't know, skip 5 minutes ahead from here. But, you lose Han in the first movie. And then in the second movie, we lose Leia and then Luke. And I feel
I
like
didn't really lose Leia in the second movie.
well, we
We
did.
knew that we were
we
gonna
lost.
lose her.
We were going to
we
lose her,
lost
yeah.
her.
Her as a
Yeah. And so I feel like they're finally, because with the prequels, I think part of why the prequels maybe weren't as good as they could have been is they were trying too hard to satisfy the fans of the first series. And I don't think that they focused enough on just making the prequels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I loved with The Last Jedi that, to me, that movie signified,
Throw out the old.
yeah, we're moving on. You know, we're moving on to bigger and better things. But
And I didn't have a problem with that.
yeah,
And I wasn't one of those, like, I know there was some kind of like bullying to the lady that played the character of Rose.
yeah,
I don't care about her character. Like, she didn't make me mad, but the whole arc with her and Finn going on that
yes.
journey.
So that
I
I was
didn't-
just
I
about to
didn't like
say.
that
I was just
at
about to
all.
say. I could have done without that entire arc.
Yeah,
I
it's like-
felt like it didn't contribute to the story. I
give
felt like
her
it was
something
just
to
added
do
for no reason
with the main,
Yeah.
the main cast.
Yeah.
I felt like would have been fine.
It just seemed unnecessary. But hands down, my favorite thing about that movie and the reason why it's number 2 on my list is that goddamn throne room scene.
I was hoping you would say that.
Holy shit,
Yeah.
man! It's what I loved about the Force. It's what I loved about Phantom Menace was that fight with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and Darth Maul. I mean, it was tense, and it was, you're locked in, and the walls are open, or the doors are opening and closing, and it's like, he's this omnipotent presence throughout the whole movie, and now he's here, and it's like, he's got this double-bladed lightsaber, and it just builds, and then you've got Duel of the Fates blasting, and it's just amping you up, And the throne room was the same way. It was, these guards with their faces covered, and then you've got Kylo and his like brutal fighting style just fucking these dudes up. Like, oh man, I loved it.
That, to me, I would watch just that scene from that movie.
Oh yeah,
Just because I love that. But like the stuff with Finn and Rose, wasn't keen on that. And I'm fine that they killed Luke, but I kind of wish that they would have handled him a little differently.
Yeah.
I felt like they made him a few degrees too jaded.
yeah.
They did.
but-
He seemed almost childish to the point to where he was just like, I don't want to do this. Like, not so much about what had happened, but more like he just didn't want to do it. Like,
But-
he was just,
You're making me want to watch Last Jedi for a third time.
Yeah.
So that's a good.
Also, I will say, I think that movie had, in my opinion, one of the greatest cinematic moments ever. Which, again, if you haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert here, but and I can't remember her name from Jurassic Park.
Oh, is it Laura Linney or no?
Not Laura
Laura
Linney.
Dern.
Laura Dern.
Yeah, Laura Dern. She's
wait.
in Twin Peaks.
Is it Laura Dern?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know now.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
think
sure.
it's
I'll find
Laura
out.
Dern
Because I think Laura Dern is in.
because she was Diane in Twin Peaks. Or I shouldn't say. Maybe
Laura
you should
Dern's
edit that
in
out.
Ozark. She's the mom in Ozark, I think.
Laura Linney or now we're
I don't know. Here, you fact check us, and I'll keep going. But you know who I'm talking about, the commander.
yeah.
When she
Julianne
launches into that ship, and the theater just went dead silent.
oh no.
Like, oh man, I got chills
Yeah, that
like
was
thinking
pretty
about
amazing.
that.
No, you're right.
Like,
Laura Dern.
Okay.
I've never heard a movie theater that quiet before.
God, she looks like shit in real life, man. She's sorry. I shouldn't have that out.
Down the
She
rabbit
doesn't
hole.
look that good.
But yeah, I mean that part, yeah, looks like her. Yeah,
That's just a bad picture.
I'm used to seeing the pink hair.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
that scene just, man, like, wow, that just, whew.
It did.
They
It
killed
had
it
some
there.
good moments.
Yeah.
I wish. That's why I wish that they would have just given Ryan Johnson like his own trilogy. And I don't know if they're going to do that now.
I think
Because-
they're actually bringing back J.J. Abrams for the third.
Yes,
they are,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. But they had originally talked about like a separate trilogy to give him that was like not related to this, and I kind of wish they would have done that.
Yeah.
But who knows what they're going to do?
I just like I don't like whenever they take a movie and have like a director for this one. It's like, oh, we're gonna have another director for this one. It's like, because to me it almost was like J.J. Abrams had these things set in place to happen in The Last Jedi, and then the next director just kind of took it and shat on it. What's the and I always forget her name, the stormtrooper, the silver.
Oh, Phasma.
Oh,
Phasma.
Phasma.
They built her up so much in the promotion of the first one, and then she just, spoiler alert, she dies. And
Yeah.
this one just like, not even like in like a cool way. It's just,
I will be more upset though. So I'll be upset if she never resurfaces.
Yeah.
Because of that reason. Because like they built her up like essentially like a Boba Fett character.
yeah, she was like
You
this
know,
big, and
and
she was like
then-
the face of it, almost like she's on all the like
Yeah.
the promo, like the cups and
And
stuff.
I mean,
I've got
if
'em
you
over there,
if you think
know?
about it, in the originals you had Boba Fett in that iconic battle with Luke on the ship in the Sarlacc pit, and then with Jango, the beheading by Mace Windu, and then his head rolls to the
Yeah.
feet of Boba Fett, and it's just like that's an iconic scene too. And then with Phasma, it's just like, okay, she's dead.
Yep.
Like, and nothing else happens. But I'll be more upset if we don't see anything else from Snoke. Like, if he's really just dead and he's gone,
Oh, yeah,
like,
that was
I'm gonna
really
be
kinda-
really butthurt.
That was a big
because
letdown.
he was such a cool character, and there was so much hype coming out of episode 7 about who he was,
actually
and
was, yeah.
is he Plagueis? Is he is he Vader? Is he the Emperor? Like, who could he possibly be? And it's like, if we don't get more out of that, if he's really just a weird dude with a facial scar that's super powerful and got killed, like, and then that's it, like, I'm gonna be really, really disappointed. And they better not pull some Iron Man shit and Mandarin him, because if they do, I'm also gonna be really butthurt, because that was a terrible story arc as well.
Yeah.
Iron Man's biggest nemesis just being some idiot who's drunk all the time. Ridiculous. Sorry.
No. I'm glad I'm glad we talked about this. I wasn't expecting that. It just makes me very happy.
Yeah, it's like I said, we talk about whatever,
So anyway, your music.
So is this the Great Repression? Is this the newest?
It is the almost newest. It's the newest. So like the way that Black Hole Zion operates, it's like sometimes it's stuff that I do by myself that's just like maybe noisy or ambient or weird, and then sometimes it's like, all right, these are like songs, and these are like this is like a rock album. So that's the most recent like rock album we did, or the we and the I are fluid. Sometimes, but so the thing we put out last was I did a soundtrack for a video game, and so I released that, and it's all instrumental music, just like electronic stuff. And I mean, I'm happy with it, or I wouldn't have put it out.
Yeah.
But so it's not like. It's not the stuff that we play live. Like last night we played, and we played a good bit off that album. We played some new tunes that we're working on. But so I don't know. So that's in that paradigm, in that alternate timeline of Black Hole Zion. That's the most recent album.
Okay. So you said you did a soundtrack for a video game. Like, was it what video game was it?
It was called Stunt Runner.
Stunt Runner?
And it's like a physics puzzler game, and you play as this stuntman. Well, you don't even play as a stuntman. You kind of play as the director that's giving him a comeback. He was a washed up stuntman from the 80s. And so it's very much like a lot of the music is like 80s inspired, but it's in modern times. It's really a cartoony looking game. And so you set up scenes for the character to like run through to completion. So I did the score for that, and it came out on the dudes that did the game. They did a really good job with the physics and everything. They put it out on this service called Jump, which was like their proprietary system, and they could have put it out on the consoles, and they didn't, because they really wanted to put everything into their proprietary service. And it's like a streaming, like Netflix of games kind of thing. And I don't know what's happening with it right now. Like, you can go on and play the game and stuff, but like I haven't heard anything from them for a while. So I don't know what's going on with the service. So that was for that soundtrack. I was like, well, I still want more people to hear it, even if they're not going to do a console wide release. So that's why I released the soundtrack. And then over the summer, I think it was this summer. Yeah, over the summer. The song off of that album got used. The song 8-Bit Rage got used in a video game.
What a name.
Thanks.
Love that name.
It got used in a game called Mutant Football League Dynasty Edition. And that one
sounds awesome.
That one, that's a really cool game, and that did come out on all the consoles. Like I'm playing it on PS4. It came out on the Switch, the Xbox One, and Steam. So that they used a song off there for that game. So we're like the theme music for the team, the Crack Some Skull Jugulars.
That's
So of course now that's my favorite team. That's like the best
yeah,
team.
yeah.
I'm like, well, they've got my song, man.
Yeah,
like
how do you get like? I mean, do you just send your music out there to people, or do you work with somebody that specifically works like in the video game industry?
So for me, it's always just been like just falling into something because I'm not really good about like I'm not one of those people that's really good about like promoting our stuff or anything like that. And I tend not to bug people. Like I think I sent you all a message about doing this, and then like. It was like months later, and then we talked about it again.
Yeah.
So I'm not one of those people that likes to bug for whatever reason. I was like, well, if it's meant to happen, I'll just keep doing music. But with that game, is our guitar player at the time knew somebody, and they were looking for music for this game, and he was like, well, you should send him one of the Black Hole Zion tunes, and he was messaging me, and I'm one of those people. A lot of times when I go to sleep, I turn my phone off. And I guess he had been messaging me all night, like, "Hey, I need to know if I can send them this track. They want it by by tonight or whatever. But it's 11 p.m. Pacific time." And I wasn't answering, and he was like, "Well, I hope this is okay, but I went ahead and sent him your track." And I woke up in the morning. I was like, "Hey, that's absolutely fine," And then I wasn't sure if they were going to pick it, but they ended up picking it. And there were not very many. We're the only. I think we're like the only really heavy band on there, and we're the only, not the only, but we're one of the few that they didn't do the music in house for. So it's cool, and it's a bonus that I actually like the game. It's fun to play. So
That's really cool.
yeah, but so like it just tends to be like just stuff happening for me. I don't know.
And then the other game that you said you wrote the full soundtrack for, was it kind of the same way, or did they specifically come to you to do the full soundtrack?
So that one I came to them, and a friend told me about it. Like they originally had like a Kickstarter going for the game. And somebody I knew that was like, "Oh, hey, you should talk to them. They don't have music. You should talk to them about doing music." And I reached out to them about it, and they were originally kind of like, "What's your angle here?" kind of thing. And I was like, so nothing. I just like the game. Somebody, it looked cool. Somebody told me that I should talk to you, and so yeah, I'd like to do it. And so then I said, well, let's do this. I don't know why maybe because I messaged them through Kickstarter or something. I was like, well, let me just do a tune for it. And then if you don't want to use it, then that's fine. It's no big deal. And then I sent them something. They're like, "Oh, actually, this really does work. This is perfect. Yeah, let's do it." And then so we just did the whole game. But that was weird because it's like in the case of the 8-Bit Rage, it was like the song was done.
Yeah.
And they just I sent them a couple of versions of it, like in different. I sent them like a 24-bit unmastered version and a mastered version. But with the game, it was like, all right, now how are we going to do this so that when people play the game, it's not so repetitive. And there's scripting software and stuff that you can use to trigger layers of loops, but they were running in a game engine called Unity, and they didn't want to go full on the audio programming side. So I ended up like writing the stuff in such a way that it worked if you listened to it from start to finish, but also like I found ways to break it up into like meaningful chunks that weren't super repetitive, and we would randomly trigger certain chunks for like different parts of the level. So it was almost like the soundtrack, like the music got remixed as you played it. They would like kick different parts of it in while you were playing. So
that's pretty cool.
yeah. So that was fun, and that was the first real game that I had ever done. I worked on another one a year and a half ago at this game jam in Pittsburgh, and it was supposed to be like a horror. I guess a survival horror. I hate to say that, but it was for the Oculus Rift, and then it just kind of went nowhere. So I've got like all this music, and they just never finished the game. I mean, it's hard work, so I can understand why nobody wanted to finish it. So I've got all this music that I wrote for this horror game that I'm probably gonna put out in some other format, and then if they end up going back to the game and finishing it, then they can still use it.
Still use it, yeah. That's something you wrote specifically for that game?
Yeah. We had like 48 or 72 hours to do it. It was like we had the concept, and then so it was like just like me. I was the only audio person, and it was just like staying up all night long, sleeping for a couple of hours. It's like you get really creative when you are forced to. So it was just like me just grinding on stuff and just like, well, let's try this batshit crazy idea and see if it works. And so it was fun. I would like to do that again, but I mean, like, it's a time commitment when you have a million other things going on.
So do they, for that one, I mean, for the Oculus, did they give you, obviously you need to know like the setting, like did they send you like clips of the game obviously to work off of, or?
No, this was, it was a thing called a game jam. And so like we literally like built the game from the ground up in a weekend.
Oh shit.
So it was like, basically it was like an alpha, maybe, that's what maybe would be an appropriate thing to call it. So we just had a team. And so, we had a whiteboard and we talked about the idea for the game, and we had some sketches, and then like there was a group of visual artists working, a group of coders, and then me as the only audio person, so I had to do music, sound effects, and then we recorded some dialogue all in the span of like 3 days. And yeah, it was crazy.
Damn. That's insane.
Yeah, so I really wish that it would they would have continued to work on it, but it's hard. You've got 7 or 8 people that don't necessarily all hang out all the time. So yeah, but it was a good experience.
Difficult, yeah. So, are you guys working on, because this album, The Great Repression, came out in 2017?
Yes, sir.
Are you guys working on some new stuff right now?
Yes.
You said you played some new
Yeah,
tunes
we played
last night.
2 new songs last night, and I've got probably like 5 or 6 more that are kind of done. We just haven't like played them together as a group. We've just demoed them out. So we're just like slowly going to start adding them into this set. But the idea is like it's either going to be a full album or it's going to be 2 EPs.
Okay.
Because so I know music. I don't know how much you know.
Very little.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like half of the songs are kind of, I don't want to say poppy, but comparatively speaking, are a little poppier. They're like major keys, kind of thing. And the other half are like, there's a lot of like tritone, like flat fifths and stuff, and like a little more sinister sounding. And so like, I don't know if I don't know yet if we want to go and like arrange them all on one album together or 2 separate EPs where it's very clear. But there's an underlying story for it all, so it really makes sense to kind of put it on one album. I think so.
I think something like that would be kind of cool. Actually, having 2 separate albums with like obviously like the dark side, the light side. Almost.
That's exactly what
cool,
it is.
Like, different artwork, but it's all intertwined.
Yeah.
I think that's actually. That would be really cool.
So that's where we're at right now as we kind of progress through these. But it's like that's a concept album because I'm of course a nerd and everything has to have a backstory and everything. And so this one is very much the same way. It's influenced a lot by like the classical music piece, The Planets. And so there's like a song.
Who was that? Gustav
Holst.
Holst.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
think Mars is my favorite. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's all right. Actually, we played last night. That was like our best reaction we got. We played a song called "Witches of Mars." That's very much kind of like a major key. It's a little more of like I don't know, I want to say boogie, but it's a little more upbeat. But there's a song for each planet. And there's a song for the sun as well. And yes, Pluto does count as a planet. In our version, we will either make some people really mad or some people really happy. But the idea is a song for each planet. And there's a whole, I don't know. Do you want to talk about it? Or?
I mean, we can. I think, Jet, I think you've actually were the one who showed me those on YouTube, I believe.
The original works, the classical
the classical ones.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like that.
He only did 7, though, I think, right?
Yeah, we're doing them all. And it doesn't sound like that at all. It's like rock, metal, And we get that industrial label put on us a lot, which I'm fine with. just because we use electronics, but I don't really listen to a ton of industrial. I mean, like I know like the popular stuff, but like I heard my second Rammstein song the other day. But so it's like it doesn't sound like classical music, but that's the idea. Is there's a concept running through that's like a few layers deep, and the surface level idea is. You have this faction on Mars and this faction on Jupiter that they're kind of trying to unite some of the other planets to basically destroy the sun and replace it with something new in the solar system, and realign all the order of the planets and kind of change the whole paradigm out. So I don't know. So I'm just into that kind of nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
So what about this one, the Great Repression? What's the backstory with this one?
So that one, when you talked about stages of grief earlier, and a friend of mine who happens to work in the mental health field, he was just talking to me about it one day. We were driving back from a trip, and he was asking me questions about it, and he said, well, it seems like the way you have this laid out is stages of grief. Once I explained it to him, and I didn't think of it that way, but in retrospect, he's right. So that's kind of a combination of some real life experiences that I had and some, like some fantasy sci-fi, because I think of that as like sci-fi metal. But so it's a combination of stuff that really happened and stuff that didn't happen. But it's the idea is like you stumble upon this great power, and you try to develop that, and you think you're going to. What was that?
It's a car horn.
And you think you're going to use that to do some good things and to help people, and then you realize, like, as you try to branch out and do that like some things are too far gone. And something I can hear it now. Some things are too far gone, and some people are just genuinely bad, and it kind of like poisons you. And so it's like when you make contact with that, and it's like flowing through the webway back to you, and just that shock of like, things are worse than I've realized. It kind of shuts down that power source in a way, and it scars you in here. And so that's like the first two tracks of the album are that's like that, this limitless universe, and then all of a sudden, I touched this thing, and the weight of reality has kind of sunken in, and everything is a letdown, and then I'm mad. And there's a lot of being angry. Let's talk about like time travel in there, astral projection, transdimensional teleportation, and all this stuff. So at one point, I don't know, am I talking too much about it?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. So maybe I'll just go. Yeah. So the second track is like that's that anger and that realization. It's called the letdown because it's just literally just being let down by the weight of reality, and so that's just an angry metal track. The third track, 8-Bit Rage, is like, all right, still angry, but it's thinking about that, and as that kind of brews and develops, like, do you maybe develop another personality inside of you? It's literally like me talking to myself about these things, and just thinking about like how how crude that emotion becomes. And it's also a little tongue in cheek because it's like the line in the song is like, I don't want the end of the world. No, I want the end of the universe. It's very tongue in cheek, like, well, how angry can you be? But it's also in a way, it's like, that's the only way that you think that you can actually change things. It's just like, we're all too far gone here. So it's time to like dimension hop. Basically into an alternate timeline. So I know this is really dorky.
No, it's cool.
Listen, I love shit like this. So.
So this equation is null. It's that quest. Searching is like, where do I start? where do I end? You know, because ultimately I'm nothing in the grand scheme of things, and no, you know, one person is simultaneously nothing and everything. And you know, if I kill myself in one timeline, what happens to me in this alternate timeline? Like, you know, how does that impact you? That's like the realization that, okay, well, yeah, you can, you know, maybe you could destroy everything, but what happens to all those alternate realities when you do that? Because even if you think they're not interlinked, that they are. The utterly dismal theorem. Should I just be going through these like this?
Why not?
Okay. That's the one that stuck out to me because of the length of the.
Yeah, that's
the track name.
That's the shortest song title ever. The utterly dismal theorem and the formation of a new universe. That was me just deliberately being a shit.
Being an asshole.
Yeah, I was like, how can I have a really long song title? But you know, that's again, it's like, you know, you're coming to that realization of like, all right, you know, you can't necessarily always succeed, you know, and the world isn't necessarily designed to maybe progress on the level that you want it to. And there has to be some type of equilibrium in this slow change. And so and you get frustrated with that. And so you think, all right, well, you know, things aren't changing at the pace that I want. So I'm out, I'm done. And that's not really the productive way to go about things. All American Violation, that's just an angry, like punk metal track. And that's probably the most political song on the album. And I mean, I have some pretty strong political beliefs, but it's not necessarily trying to take a stance towards like one particular person or another. It's just the way that the regular person seems to be manipulated as both a consumer and, you know, just a cog in the wheel. And I say this as somebody that collects lightsabers and Warhammer stuff, so I know I'm a hypocrite when I say that.
Yeah.
When we get to Secrets of Time Travel, that's like this. I guess maybe the bargaining stage of the stages of grief, and so the idea is, all right, so what if I can travel through space and time, or what if I can hop between alternate timelines? You know, what is that really going to make a difference? And so, like in a moment of desperation, this fella is watching an infomercial, and he sees a guy on there, and he calls himself Doctor. He legally changed his name to Doctor because, you know, you can't call yourself a doctor if you're not really a doctor.
Yeah.
And so he's on television, on the internet, and he's selling this idea of like, I can teach you the secrets of time travel, you know, call in now. And so this character goes to him kind of hoping, you know, that he's going to teach him these great secrets of time travel. And what he finds is that for whatever reason, he becomes an apprentice to this guy, and he's lobotomizing people with their consent to make them think that they have traveled through time and space. And so, like, this character is helping the Doctor lobotomize these people, and so he realizes obviously that this person wasn't some grand messiah that was going to aid them in any way, shape, or form. He was just another sham artist, and so, you know, it's not about, you know, it wasn't about any special power or ability. It was literally just cutting out pieces of their brains, and, you know, tricking folks, and, you know, was somehow able to do it legally. Trapped in the center of an unstable loop, we're starting to get to that stage of acceptance. It's that idea of like, all right, you know, everything's interconnected. You know, how are you fueling yourself by, you know, are you fueling yourself in one timeline by killing yourself in another? And I don't know, that one maybe I don't want to talk about too much. That one's hard for me. Transdimensional stellar autopsy, we just did a video for that one. And that one's most certainly the acceptance of everything. It's like nothing matters, everything matters. yeah, you can feel this and that way about it, and of course you need to act on it because you're a person. But in the end, you also kind of just have to laugh about it. So, well, nothing matters, So that's the rundown on the record. I've never really given anybody that when I was being recorded, so I don't know.
So I want to do something. So I feel like we have similar tastes based on our Phantom Menace preferences, and also just listening to you describe that. So generally, what I would do at this point, whenever we interview bands or artists, yeah, go pee, is I would generally ask you to describe your style of music using famous artists or famous actors and actresses.
Ooh.
But instead, I'm going to throw a couple things out there that I got since you just described a whole album.
Yeah.
I want to give you my feel on it.
Okay.
All right. And then you can let me know if I've hit the mark here.
Okay.
All right. So I'm getting, and I love this because like these are it's 3 of my favorite cinematic characters.
Okay.
/ movies.
All right.
And TV shows.
I'm digging where you're going with this.
So in the first couple songs, I get a lot of Dr. Manhattan.
I love that graphic novel.
Yeah.
I would be lying if I said that didn't impact me as a person.
Yeah.
It wasn't conscious, but I can totally see that. Yep.
Yeah, the whole concept of like, the unlimited power, and then it's like, well, nothing actually matters, and like the negativity that comes with it. I mean, he puts himself onto another planet just to get away from all of the negativity.
Yeah.
And, the humanity and all of that he no longer feels connected to anymore. He shuts himself off. And then I get a lot of Rick and Morty.
So
The interdimensional, the time traveling and the whole, interacting with other versions of yourself and other dimensions and stuff.
that was written before I had ever seen an episode of Rick and Morty, but I absolutely love that show. And I love Dan Harmon's stuff.
Yeah.
I love Community.
Community was amazing. Yeah.
So I would say so far, while those two might not have been like deliberate things, like the Dr. Manhattan, I had obviously read Watchmen before. Yeah. That wasn't necessarily on my conscious mind. Hadn't seen Rick and Morty yet, but absolutely love it. Yeah. So far, I think we're feeling each other.
This one might be a hit or a miss because this is kind of a controversial movie, but I happen to love it. Donnie Darko.
So again, you're right on. That one wasn't on my conscious mind, but I love that movie, and I would definitely say that's probably like part of how, like, shaped my worldview.
Yeah,
in a
just
way.
the implications of like the multiple universes, and if what I do in this universe, does it affect what happens in the other, and does that matter?
Yeah.
And if it does matter, why? And if it doesn't matter, why? And,
yeah, man, we're on a wavelength here.
Oh, yeah.
I love that movie, and actually, I was playing around with that. So that tune, Mad World. And Donnie Darko.
Gary Jules.
I listened to that, especially the Gary Jules version, and I cry.
Yeah.
Like, I just cry. And we're working up a cover of that.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if I'll ever release it or anything, because like the idea was like I was like going to sing it cleanly and everything. But I absolutely love that movie. I love that song in that movie.
The soundtrack in general is just so amazing. Like the head over heels intro, the Notorious intro when they're all showing up to school and that comes on. Like, it's just great.
Sometimes I question your commitment to Sparkle Motion.
Oh yeah, and she was such a hateable character. Like, oh man, yeah, I loved that movie.
No, I mean like that. Those are all 3 things that I absolutely love. So I feel like that's definitely makes me up who I am as a person for sure. So
now, off topic, but we were talking earlier before we started recording about Scott Pilgrim and the pun that that I had seen a whole bunch. So how many times have you seen Donnie Darko?
Maybe like 8 times, something like that.
Do you remember Seth Rogen from that movie?
No.
Okay, so the 2 bullies.
Okay.
There's the tall dude that kind of has the mullet.
Yeah.
With the dark hair that pulls the knife on him in the bathroom.
Okay.
The other heavier set one is Seth Rogen.
Oh my God.
Did not know that.
Yeah. It's Seth Rogen. I think that was his first movie that he was in.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, the little girl that speaks. So when Patrick Swayze's doing the when he comes in and he talks to all the students, the episode where the scene where Donnie calls him the Antichrist. The little girl that goes up there and talks about like, she wants to be more confident or something. I can't remember what it is, but there's the little kid that says that he gets bullied, and then there's the little girl that says something I can't remember. That's Ashley Tisdale.
That's
I haven't
crazy.
heard that name
Yeah.
in a long time.
Man. And then then of course I spin off into an alternate timeline and you say, the Antichrist, and I immediately think of Michael Scott calling Toby the Antichrist. It just keeps coming back to that.
Everything comes back to the office.
Yeah.
It's like Kevin Bacon.
6 degrees of the office or 3 degrees of the office.
What was the reference that I tried to make? Oh, I tried to make a reference to The Thing,
The Thing, yeah.
right?
We were drunk playing.
None of
D&D.
them got it.
Yeah.
So there was a scene whenever we were playing D&D, and I'm trying to make a reference to, I won't give you too many details in case you do decide to listen to it, but there's basically a scene where like we suspect that someone is not who they say they are.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get them to show them their true selves. And I was like, dude, it's The Thing. It's The Thing with the blood. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, John Carpenter's The Thing, when they take the blood and they're like trying to figure out who's the alien, and they're just like, what movie is this? Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I was like super butthurt. And then like not even 5 minutes later, somebody made a fucking Tremors reference and everyone got it. And I'm like, listen, I get it. Tremors is an awesome B sci-fi movie, but like,
But The Thing is
how
a
do you not
classic.
get The Thing and you get Tremors? Like,
There's a really good game based on The Thing.
Is there?
It's called The Thing.
I think I've actually seen gameplay. I'll watch a lot of, I don't know if you know Cinemassacre on YouTube. He does like the angry video game nerd.
Okay,
He's
I
been
know
on
that
for-
because I like his Bible Adventures
Yeah,
episode.
dude, that was the
Bible
Bible Adventures.
Adventures.
One of the
Of
best
course,
ones.
that's this game sucks.
I think on either that or he's got another one. It's James and Mike Mondays where they just play through a game. But I've seen something on there where they've played The Thing before. Yeah,
It's fun. We have it at home, and we're always trying to find people to play it with because it's really fun to play when you. One of my friends, he's real good about like it just incites paranoia amongst the group because one person is the thing and you can't
Right.
tell anybody and you just have to sabotage. And so I was like,
no,
"You're the
I
thing."
do know what you're talking about. I have seen that.
It's really fun.
You play against other people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I should bring it and we should play it sometime.
that. Yeah.
I actually think Michael told me about this game.
Did he?
I think so. Yeah, because it's
really
like
fun.
you play with however many people and you're in pairs, right?
You go out. Yeah, you do go out in pairs. Like
Yeah.
you have a team, but like you go out and do your missions.
Yeah,
in
and like
pairs.
one person is the alien, and they know that they're the alien, and nobody else knows.
Nobody else knows,
And
yeah.
the whole idea is that there's certain rules to it that make it to where, like, it could be beneficial. I don't remember exactly how it works, right? But basically, like, the person who's the alien is trying to convince everybody that somebody else is the alien.
Yeah.
And nobody wants nobody wants for everyone to think that they are the alien because then they lose, right?
Well, you can get mistreated by other players if
Yeah.
they think you're the thing. One dude that I played with, actually, it was kind of genius. He spent the whole game trying to help. So, like to build up this goodwill amongst everybody
Yeah. Mhm.
instead of like doing subtle things here and there. Like he spent it trying to help almost the whole time. And then towards the end, he just wrecked everybody. It's a fun game, but it's hard because you got to get with the right people to play it.
Right.
And, not everybody cares about the thing, although they should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The greatest horror movies ever.
Yeah,
but
it's really,
just saying.
really fun. It's a really fun game. So
Talking to you, Michael, Josh, Daniel, Ryan, you dicks.
I just didn't get the reference.
yeah.
Sorry.
You got to watch The Thing tonight to.
The
I'm gonna
most
have to.
iconic scene in the whole
I know that I've
movie.
seen it, but like you got to think.
Okay,
like,
maybe it's not the most iconic
Growing
scene.
up, my parents were like, "No, you can't do that." They wouldn't let me watch fucking Ninja Turtles, the cartoon. Like I was growing up.
Really?
Yeah. It's a very religious household.
Okay.
What do you think?
So-
What do you think was the most iconic scene in that movie? Was it the stables, The head.
Oh,
head coming off.
It might be the stables. Anything with dogs freaks me out because I love dogs and like
Yeah.
So that probably that kind of stuff.
That's
gets-
like last night I've started watching No Country for Old Men multiple times, and I finally finished it last night.
Oh,
and
really?
Watched it all the way through.
Good movie.
Great movie. I didn't think that a movie without a soundtrack was going to be that intense. It was great.
Coen Brothers, right?
I don't know who.
I think it's Coen Brothers. Here, I'll fact check
Probably,
myself.
yeah. But whenever the dog was chasing him, he had to kill the dog. Like I was just like, nah.
Yeah,
I
that,
don't like
that stuff is that I would rather see a person get killed in a movie. I'm fine with that. But the dog, oh no, don't. Yeah, don't.
I mean, watching it, him shoot the dog, but then like seeing the dead dog lay there that looked obviously fake. I was just like, okay, that's
Okay,
that's-
Yeah, Coen Brothers.
The Coen Brothers.
Yep.
But yeah, that movie was poof.
Did you ever see the True Grit remake?
Didn't we start watching that?
No,
No?
I don't think so. Because they did.
know.
So they've done the big movies that they've done would be Fargo, The Big Lebowski, No Country for Old Men, and True Grit. They just did one recently, but it's not listed on here.
I've never seen True Grit.
No,
Never.
man. So the OG one is true to my heart. The first dog that I ever got, I named after John Wayne's main character, Rooster Cogburn.
To a rooster.
Oh, Rooster.
Rooster.
Yep, that's a good movie though. It's not. I mean, it's a terrible movie in retrospect. It's like awful acting, but it's one of those westerns. You know?
Yeah, it's like,
There was a movie.
You get what you get.
Tombstone.
Yeah.
With Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
I like that movie.
Oh man, listen, when he spins the coffee cup and oh yeah,
I like that movie.
yeah, that's a fantastic movie. Probably one of Val Kilmer's better performances, I think.
You guys ever see Deadwood?
Okay, I tried to start watching it once and I didn't get into it, but it's one that everyone has told me to watch. It's the one that has
Ian McShane.
Ian McShane. Yeah. I've heard it's great.
He is like, for me watching that show, I watched it for him.
Yeah.
And it was, I felt like it started off a little slow, but then towards the end, I mean, they leave you hanging at the end, and supposedly there's going to be a movie that may wrap it up finally. But his character on there is just amazing. And the amount of foul language, you just can't keep up with it.
Yeah.
But it's a good Western show.
Trying to remember. We're so off topic.
Yeah, sorry.
There was
no,
a
it's fine,
no. This is literally what we.
You
do.
guys, you got me talking about this more than I think I may have ever done before. That's weird for
I
me.
love
Godless. Did you guys ever watch Godless?
No.
Okay, so the bad guy is Jeff Daniels. From Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's here, I'll just read you the description from IMDb. Notorious criminal Frank Griffin, that's Jeff Daniels, and his gang of outlaws are on a mission. Get revenge on Roy Good, a former protege who betrayed the Brotherhood. On the run, Roy seeks refuge in an isolated mining town, La Belle, New Mexico, where he lives with Alice Fletcher, a hardened widower and outcast. When word reaches La Belle, which is governed mainly by women, that Griffin is headed there, the residents of the town band together to defend against his murderous gang. It's good. Jeff Daniels plays a fucking terrifying bad guy. Like, so sinister. Like,
I can kind of see that because I guess, they say that like comedy is the hardest kind of acting to do. So, like maybe if you've got those chops, then like tackling that, it's just like a whole, he's just tapping into some, ability. I don't know, that's beyond me.
yeah, it's just this like nonchalant type of like evil that he brings to the table.
I'll have to look that
And
up.
he's just like, it's weird.
I have to add it to my list of things that I need
I don't
to
even know
watch.
what it was on. Like if it was Amazon or Netflix or TV. I don't have any idea.
What was it called again?
Godless.
Godless.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's good though.
It's a good name.
Very good. It's a brutal show too. It lives up to the name.
You guys are good at this. You're like, when you hear somebody's podcast, you're like, oh yeah, that's good. But then when you're talking with them, you're like, they're good at this.
We just talked to.
Yeah, we
just talked,
that's-
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
mean, you just got me running. I would never talked about that before.
That's what I love. Like, being able to talk to somebody who writes music and actually has a meaning behind each song and just doesn't write a song to write a song. It's like, I like hearing about, like, cause you can kind of tell with like lyrically or like the song title, what it potentially is about. Looking at your song titles, I would not be able to fucking tell you what they were about.
Well, the
But hearing
lyrics
it
are
from-
all the lyrics are all in there, and
I'm definitely
there's
gonna-
art. Like that was the thing. Like I went really deep into, like the rest of the guys in the band. I think they were just like, all right, we're just gonna let Mark go off
Yeah.
on this thing on this. But I went real deep into like all the lyrics had to be meaningful. I wanted full artwork for every song and lyrics for every song, and like the artwork kind of matches the lyrics in a sense. And so we just went way out on making sure there was art for everything. And it was like something cool to open.
Yeah.
Like kind of 90% of the listening public will stream it probably, but
I see. I'm a big fan of like, oh gosh, just smack the microphone of actual physical copies. But it's so hard to find nowadays because, like, especially with like local music,
Yeah.
it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive to actually have it, especially the jewel cases. Like, so you could do like the sleeves or like burn them yourself, but actually having like a professional looking with the barcode, which is
Yeah.
dope. It's just so expensive to do, and
I went all in on that.
I'm actually going to open this up and look
Yeah.
at the artwork while we're talking. But the
Yeah.
thing that I got, like, from whenever you're talking about it, is a lot of, like, Interstellar almost.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that movie.
It's honestly one of the few movies that I've watched that I've actually teared up in. And I've got, like, a handful of movies where I've, cried during. But that was one of them. Like, it was just... Because I'm really big on the whole, like, the space type thing, like the feel. That's how, like, I write my music. Like almost like atmospheric style, and it's not as heavy as you guys, but it's like that almost like Angels and Airwaves ish meets like the 30 Seconds to Mars kind of vibe.
But you want to you want to set a mood.
Yeah, exactly. And each of my songs I try to set that mood. So whenever you're talking about this, that just from my perspective, I don't think of it as like like the Rick and Morty thing. It was more like that interstellar, like you're going out, but you're like in an alternate dimension trying to speak to, somebody, from the past essentially.
Yeah.
Kind of feel to it. But I love.
A lot of it's crazy talk, me talking to myself.
So is this an EP or is this
That's
an
a
album?
full album.
that's a full album.
I'm gonna look at the artwork because he said that each song had artwork.
Yeah, there's artwork and lyrics. Some of the artwork I did, and some of it we had like friends and folks work on that. Let me see that opening page. Yeah, I did that one.
Did this one?
Yeah, because those two songs they kind of fade into one another, and so I
so it's kinda
treated
like
them as like one thing because you've literally like right there. It's that sets the stage, the positive and the negative. You remember Sarah Gaynor?
Yeah.
She did that 8-Bit Rage.
Oh, really?
Uh huh.
Sarah Gaynor.
She's a friend of ours. She used to come down to the cafe all the time. Yeah. She's a really cool girl.
I feel like I know her.
My wife did that next panel for Null. Jonathan Hicks did that one. You've never met Jonathan, I don't think.
The name sounds familiar. I might have like seen.
He's a good
something,
artist.
yeah. Then I like the transition of like something like this, and then the All American Violation, where it's like kind of that old school.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very meant to be very glitchy. That's
Yeah.
there's a painting. Well, no, I won't say. Some Hieronymus Bosch is a painter, and so that one, if you look at the frames, he's distracting a group of individuals with a show, and while he's doing that, somebody's going up behind a guy and robbing him out of his back pocket.
Okay, yeah. That's really cool.
And that's based on another Bosch painting. It's like the extraction of the stone of madness. It's again like cutting out of the brain.
Damn, that sounds metal.
Yeah, it's
is
not that.
really
It's not
cool.
that like metal dudes. I don't know if they really like us or not. But it's definitely heavy.
Like if
So do you like Lovecraft?
You know, I have never read a full Lovecraft story.
You should.
Yeah,
I feel like it would be up
sure
your alley.
I would. Yeah, a lot of my stuff is like comic books and just I think just like sitting and brooding and just thinking about things. I love a lot of sci-fi, and I think that definitely influences like where I come from for sure.
Yeah.
Super underrated movie. I'm gonna go back to movies. Sci-fi movie, Event Horizon.
Oh yeah,
Dude.
yeah,
That is such a
Yeah.
good sci-fi
Yeah.
movie. Oh, it's so
chilling
creepy.
too. Yeah,
Oh,
it's really,
man.
Oh, it gets you.
Such a good one. Sorry.
No, that's all right.
I need to get caught up on movie stuff because, like, I just
Well,
over the past.
I don't know that it's that you need to get caught up so much as I'm pretty sure that he and I just have really
Well,
similar
yeah.
tastes in movies.
I just honestly like I just don't watch movies a lot anymore. Like if it's something like the Star Wars movie or like
Like as an event movie.
yeah, something like that, I'll watch it. But occasionally I'll turn on a movie. If I'm like just sitting around. But I never. To me, I mean, like, and I play a lot of fucking video games, and it's kind of like the same thing. It's to me, watching a movie by myself is like a waste of time. But I'll play video games if I can play it with somebody else. It's like a social interaction
Yeah, you want
thing.
that shared experience.
Yeah. So
I
but,
get that.
yeah, the past few nights I've been like kind of just lonely and just been like, I'm just gonna watch a movie. And I've actually watched a few, but they're newer movies that I've always wanted to watch. Not newer, but like No Country for Old Men. I've always wanted to watch it like fully, but I've always whenever I started it, I've fallen asleep or something like that.
Did you see Hereditary?
I did not know.
That movie still scares me.
Does it?
Yeah, and I like my wife is a major
Mixed by Terry, I am the liquor smith.
that's a good story to talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
That's a Leahy reference, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
totally. So with that album, so like a drummer at the time, guitar player at the time, they had finished their stuff, and it was like an episode of Metalocalypse. Like I was going in and like I would record my vocal, and I played most of the bass on there because we didn't have a bass player at the time. It was before like we knew that we were going to like play as a band. But I was like I kept going through and I would like record stuff. And then I'd send it to them. They're like, oh, that sounds great. And I'd be like, no, that sucks. And I would delete it and then start. So finally it was like, we've got to finish this thing. And so like I just recorded everything. And my day job, part of my day job is I'm an audio engineer. And so it's like I can totally do this, but I need somebody that I trust that's like removed enough to do it. So I have my friend Terry, who has a band called I Am the Liquor. And it's totally a Trailer Park Boys reference. I was like, hey, do you want to finish mixing this record? I was like, I've got, it's mostly done. I was like, but I really need somebody that can like take it away because I'm just
You
too
need an
close
outside
to it
perspective.
and
Yeah.
tell me that to stop and to shut the hell up. And so that's what he did. And I'm very grateful that he did that because it may never have come out if I wouldn't. Because I was just deep in the rabbit hole of crazy on that. Like I was not in a good place there, so it was probably good that he came in and did that. But yeah, he's got a band. They're like, I guess the term is stoner rock or stoner metal, and they're called I Am the Liquor. So that's awesome. Shout out to Terry's band as well. But yeah.
R.I.P. Mr. Leahy.
Yeah,
See, I never watched Trailer Park Boys. Can never get into it, honestly.
You should.
I didn't want to watch it.
So they have
at
a
first, but
cartoon now.
Watched one episode the other night.
Me too. I don't hate it. I don't know how to feel about it.
I feel like that would be along the like almost
I feel like
Ren and
so.
Stimpy
I
style
feel
if
like
it was
with
Trailer Park
the
Boys.
cartoon,
Very much.
Is it?
I feel like with the cartoon, I need. It's almost like the first season or two of Trailer Park Boys, where like if you watch it sober, I don't think you'll enjoy it quite as much as if you watch it real drunk.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever watched Trailer Park Boys and not been sober.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm really weird in that way. Like food or like just frame of mind can do the same thing to me sometimes. And like if I drink alcohol, it hits me really fast.
Yeah.
And so I don't typically drink it that often. I'm definitely not against it or anything, but it's like I have to be really careful when I do it. But that Trailer Park Boys cartoon was it was like off the rails.
Oh yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, I mean, just like you hit it with the Ren and Stimpy reference,
That's
and not
the
even
first thing
seeing
that came
it. Like,
to my mind whenever you said Trailer Park Boys cartoon. I was
it was kind of gory.
Yeah, a little bit. But Hereditary, you were saying.
Yeah.
Man.
I still like that scene. This doesn't spoil the movie.
Oh,
That scene where he's walking through the house and it's dark and there's the weird dude that's just standing there naked behind him. And like that, I still get freaked out about. Just the other night was walking through my house, all the lights were off, and I just had a flash, like the moon hit. I have this clock on the wall, and then it reflected on the other wall, and it looked like that shimmery. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
You don't know, but you will. And then I immediately, my mind went to that, and like there's a naked demon dude behind it. But I mean,
You should come over tonight and we should watch that. We'll have Jess make us dinner.
it's so good.
I have to see, like, it's another thing. It's like comedies, horror movies, things like that. I have to watch with other people, not because I get scared by myself. It's just,
You got to share the experience.
it's like I don't
come
sit
over
and
tonight,
watch
we'll watch it.
comedies and laugh like by myself. Like if I'm sitting and watching a comedy with Jed, we're both gonna laugh. If I'm sitting there watching it by myself, I don't laugh at. I mean, sometimes something will get me and I'll laugh. And it's same thing with like horror movies. Like they don't scare me as much by myself unless as if I'm watching it with like somebody else. I get more freaked out because like you got that tension in the room too.
So I think with Hereditary, what really knocked it out of the park for me was that, like, I don't hate jump scare movies. Like I watched about 2/3 of The Nun last night, and it was pretty good. I mean, it was just as scary as all of the Conjuring movies have been so far. They've all been real good about being creepy and weird.
They hit some jump scares too, but I feel like they do it in a tasteful way.
But with Hereditary, man, like what really did it for me for Hereditary. So I'll just tell you, like in the past 2-3 years, I think that covers enough timeline. But 3 of my favorite movies that I've seen in that time frame, actually I'll say 4 because I'll add another one that I just thought of, is Sicario, the first Sicario.
Okay.
Hostiles.
Okay, I've never seen that.
Which is it's a Western with it has Christian Bale, and I can't think of the woman's name, but she was the wife from Gone Girl. If you've seen Gone Girl.
I have.
And there's a couple other famous people in it. The guy that played Magua in Last of the Mohicans.
Oh shit.
He's in it, and it's basically about Christian Bale is this retiring pre-Civil War, I think, Union soldier. And
We watched that together.
yes,
Yeah.
and he is tasked with escorting the chief. I can't remember his name, but the guy that played Magua to some city north he's taking him back to his original lands so that he can die because he's dying. And so there's this conflict because he was an Indian hunter, and this chief was a brutal chief that killed lots of Union, I won't say Americans because technically, but and there's just so many scenes where, and so this is something that you get to see in the trailer, so it's not really giving anything away, but the woman that played the wife in Gone Girl, the way that she's introduced to the story is early on in the trip, her family was killed by Indians, and they come across her, and she joins them because she has literally nothing. Like, her house was burned, there's nowhere for her to go. And so they're like, we're just going to take you to the next town. And then I won't really say anything else other than that. But there are scenes with her that are crushing. I mean, crushing scenes. Like,
Hostiles, huh?
Yeah, Hostiles. Christian Bale also delivers another fantastic performance. And they also kind of touch on kind of like the horrors of war as well. But that one, and then Wind River.
Have I seen that?
Wind River. So Jeremy Renner, Maggie Gyllenhaal.
I don't think I know what you're talking about, but I don't think I've seen it.
So that movie is another one. Dennis Villanueva from Sicario. He was in on that one too.
He's going to make us the best Dune movie.
Oh, I hope so.
I loved it. Like
hope
Dune for sure in there. I love the Dune books. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good.
Oh yeah, you're fine.
But then, also number 4, Hereditary. And the reason that I include all those 4 is that my type of movie, the movie that I love, and I can come full circle with this and come back to the thing. I love atmospheric movies. I love movies where, you feel an overwhelming sense of something throughout every scene that kind of permeates the entire movie. And like with Sicario, it's this sort of like, you just know bad things are happening. And it's just like, that this is all going to come to a culmination at some point. And it's just, you just get this feeling that like, it's just never going to get better. That it's always going to be bad. Mm-hmm. Nothing ever good is going to come from this. And then that's kind of how the movie plays out. There really is no resolution. It's like, you're no better off than you were at the start of the movie.
Yeah.
Hostiles kind of has the same feeling. And with Hereditary, I won't say much about Wind River because that's probably one of my favorite movies that I've ever seen at all. And I highly suggest you go see it. I will warn you, though, it is very graphic.
Okay.
So just heads up there. But with Hereditary, it's just this constant build and build and build and build. And it's like, it just wears you down, where it's like, there's no singular moment that you can point to where it's like, this was the point where everything went to shit.
True.
You know what I mean? Like there's maybe a couple where, the scene on the road or like the scene in the house, but it's like, no, there's really no single one point where you're just like, yep, that's where everything went wrong.
Right.
It's just this constant underlying like dull tone. And I've told people before, the way that I describe it is it's kind of like how, how there's frequencies that people can't hear. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's almost like that is playing the entire movie and somebody's just making it louder. It's like, there's no recognizable thing that's happening. It's just the movie itself draws you in and it just builds on itself till all of a sudden you realize like halfway through the movie, nothing crazy has happened at that point, but it's like you realize that you're just like on the edge of your seat, just like, oh, what is happening,
And the payoff.
And the payoff is ridiculous.
You have got to watch it.
Yeah.
I need to watch it. Yeah.
Like, I mean, if there's food involved, if there's like food and friendship, watch it
for sure. And lots of puppers,
lots of puppos,
lots of dogs.
Yeah, when I watched it, on the way back, I said to my wife, I was like, I just want to go home and hold the dogs. I just like it was just so I don't know, it hit me.
Yeah,
it was a good movie. You got
I like movies that do like what you were saying with like the frequencies, but the one that sticks out to me, and I watched, I forget what it was, but it was on The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger's Joker.
Oh, at the beginning?
Where they didn't have a song, like a song. It was just that one note that just
during
rose.
the bank robbery scene? Yeah.
It's just one note, and it just rises and rises, but it never gets to that point because you're always in that kind of like suspense, like when's it gonna finish? When's it gonna finish? But it's just that one note that just keeps rising, and it's like whenever I watched it and like they described it to me, then like I forget what did they even play it on? It was on some.
It was. I think it was a mixture. I think it was a mixture of synthesizer and something else, and I don't know what. Because it was, Hans Zimmer, but he had a team of folks working with him on that, and I think that's the reason why that score was ineligible for the Oscars because he wanted to make sure that the production team got credit for their
Yeah.
contribution to it, and
Yeah.
it's an amazing score, amazing movie. It's probably the best comic book movie, like that one for me, and Watchmen. I know it differed from the graphic novel, but I was satisfied with
See,
it.
I like The Dark Knight better.
Do you?
Yeah.
I would put them.
Or
right
I'm
there,
sorry,
yeah. Batman Begins.
Dark Knight Rises.
You do really?
Yeah.
I'm not angry that you do, but
I thought the performance turned in by, and obviously not to take anything away from Heath Ledger's Joker, because, but I thought Tom Hardy as Bane was spot on.
the perfect Bane.
I thought that Anne Hathaway's Catwoman was great.
Yeah.
Loved her. But really Bane, Bane in that movie was just so terrifying and just had that presence, And I think maybe for me, it's just, I prefer Bane over the Joker maybe because, to me, Bane is Batman's nemesis.
Yeah.
And it's for me. At least.
The scene where he breaks his back.
Well, and that's taken directly out of the comics.
I mean, it was when that happened, I saw the panel.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, they hit that just so well.
And that's what I loved was that, they actually stayed true to Bane. Bane was not just this big, burly, super strong guy that could best Batman in physical combat, but, in the comics, Bane outsmarted Batman.
Yeah,
Bane was a better fighter than Batman. Bane, he beat him in every possible way, and so that's why I preferred that movie, was because especially the whole, because I did not know the Talia connection.
Okay.
Because I had limited comic experience with Batman. I had enough to know who Bane was supposed to be, and I knew that he wasn't this steroided junkie like the other movie.
So seeing that, I can get that then. Yeah.
But getting the shock value of that full circle resolution for me as somebody who wasn't fully invested in the comics, that was just whoa.
I can get behind that. I loved that movie. I mean, I loved all the Nolan Batman.
Yeah, I liked all three.
But,
I did. I mean, dude, Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul.
Oh yeah.
Dude, he was great.
It was good, man.
He was awesome.
Have you seen the preview for Joaquin Phoenix Joker?
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I was one of those people. I was like, man, Ledger's Joker is the best, and it probably will be. But I like the route they're taking with this. I know some folks get angry that it's we don't need a Joker origin story, but every movie except for The Dark Knight,
when he's
we
all
got
twisted up.
Yeah.
And
I think after Suicide Squad and Jared Leto, I think we need a Joker.
good. Yeah,
We
I think
needed
so, too.
we needed the ginger to cleanse our palate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean, you could, when you listen to that a little bit more, you'll see, I love the mental health angle, of course, on things. And I like that they're really, kind of focusing on that, madness driving somebody to do something. So I'm cool with it. I figure if anybody can do that justice right now, I mean, Joaquin Phoenix has to be one of the ones. Is the dude that's directing that? Is that the dude that did The Hangover?
I think so. Yeah.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's okay,
Well, but I mean, you've got Jordan Peele out here.
Oh, just slaying it.
Yeah.
killing it with
Slaying
thrillers. I haven't seen Us yet.
I haven't either.
I almost went and saw it last night. Actually,
Man, Get Out
but I
was just
stayed
what the.
So I liked Get Out.
I thought it was. I thought it was a great twist to it.
To me, I feel so. I liked Get Out, but I saw The Invitation before I saw Get Out, and I thought they were kind of of similar veins, and I liked The Invitation better.
Because I don't think I saw
The Invitation was a Netflix movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see it, but I know
Yeah.
I'm familiar with what you're talking
It's almost
about.
like somebody had the same type of script and they just took it different ways.
So basically, with Get Out, he visits and it's all the black people seem to be brainwashed.
yeah.
Well, with The Invitation, it's similar, but it's this couple that show up at this dinner party and they're meeting a bunch of friends that they haven't talked to in a really long time. And a couple of the friends there are kind of weird.
Wait, I think we watched that. I think I watched that whenever I lived with you.
Maybe.
With you. Where
then spoiler alert. Well, he hasn't seen it.
Was it
so
like
we
with
won't say
with like the
spoilers.
lights?
Yes,
at
the red
end?
lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you have seen
Yeah,
it.
I have seen that.
Yeah. So I liked that movie better, and I feel like they were very similar
It's kind of similar. But
in base plots. You
Yeah,
know, Get
yeah, I
Out
can
went
see
about
that.
it a much different way, and it was still a fantastic movie. But I just prefer The Invitation. I thought it was a little darker,
Invitation was definitely a lot
which
darker.
I like dark movies, so
I'm gonna check it out.
Went up my lane. Yeah, that, and then I mean, have you seen The Ritual?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
okay.
another good one.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, okay. We have to talk about this if you actually watch this show. I don't know if you do, but 1 week till Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Are you caught up?
Yep. Caught up.
I'm actually I'm caught up, but I'm going back through and rewatching. I watched. We started with the finale of season 6, and then we're gonna watch all the way through season 7. So I should finish up season 7 probably Friday or Saturday, and then be able to go right into season 8.
Season 8.
We rewatched 7. I didn't catch all the episodes, but I caught them all originally, but
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
rewatch I didn't. So I'm ready.
They came out with like a list, and I need to find it again, but it's like a list that they release like certain episodes. Like if you want to refresh, it's like you don't have to rewatch the entire series. Here's like a list of episodes that's important.
For season 7, it was like episode 4, episode 6, and then I think the final episode. But so I have a theory that I love to tell people about. That I think the Hound is Azor Ahai.
I don't know.
Explain.
Yeah, explain it to me so I can.
So
Because that's you
So-
just threw
so-
me for a loop
so-
majorly. I was not
so the
expecting
prince-
that to be your theory.
So the prince that was promised is supposed to be born of salt and fire, right? The Hound, the burn marks on his face from his brother, and then part of the prophecy was that how did that work? It was so he has to have the fire blade, obviously. And the Hound has already shown in season 7 that he has a connection with the Lord of Light.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh man. Oh man.
You heard it here first, everybody.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm liking that.
So I've been thinking that since season 7, or maybe it was late season 6. I don't remember. But it's been a while since I was like fully brushed up on my facts, so I don't have all of them directly in front of me. But yeah,
I'm
I
liking
think it's
this.
the Hound because I feel like maybe it's Jon. I don't know. Maybe it's Daenerys or Jaime or Tyrion. You know, all of those. Those just feel like too obvious. And
with the way that
way that this show goes,
Yeah.
it's never what you expect.
Yeah.
You know, it's always something that you don't see coming.
Then why did they kill off Sean Bean? Because he dies in everything.
So apparently, there's a theory that he was a faceless man, and that he didn't actually die.
Man, if he comes back, I'm gonna.
But now, one theory a theory video that I watched the other day that I really actually liked, and I was like, oh my god, that would make a lot of sense. Is that so? I didn't totally agree with all of it, but the theory was that Rhaegar Targaryen never died
Okay.
because his body was never recovered from the Battle of the Trident, and that Rhaegar was a faceless man. And that Rhaegar Targaryen, Jaqen H'ghar, and Littlefinger are all the same person. And that when Littlefinger died at the end of season 7,
Yeah.
he allowed that version of himself to be killed because if he didn't, then Bran would eventually be able to look into him and find out who he truly was.
Man.
There's so many, like it's crazy. So many different theories.
Because
and
if you think
stuff's-
about it, Jaqen H'ghar is a faceless man, right? He can become whoever he wants to be whenever he wants to. You know, he can do pretty much anything he wants to. I mean, the show kind of makes him out to be this all-powerful type of person. And yet, when you first are introduced to him, where is he? He's in a prison. And that's how he meets Arya, conveniently.
Man, I'm
I need to,
assuming you've
like-
read the books too, or
I've not. No.
I have a friend that's read all the books so far, and I want to like get some FaceTime with him and talk to him about
to
your
him.
theories, because he's told me some stuff that happens in the books that were, and so I'm like, I want to run this by him, and I want to see his reaction, because he's a stringent nerd about things,
Yeah,
like he's into the lore, like. He's the guy that did my first D&D campaign.
Okay,
with me.
okay.
Yeah. So he's like very much like, nope, and so like I want to see his reaction, because I feel like you're onto something with these. That's just totally was not where my brain was going
Yeah.
on it.
I'm gonna see if I can find those other facts.
Did you guys see the late night with the girl who plays Arya?
Yes,
The other night?
where she
The
pretended to give
April
a
Fool's
spoiler.
thing, where she like came out and dude, she played it off so fucking well. Because who was it? Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
It was like, can you like give us any kind of like hints of like what's coming up and all this stuff? And she's like, no. She's like, I'm really, like HBO's really, can't talk about anything other than like the release of it, all this stuff. And then she was like, well, then he just like keeps like bugging her about it, and it played it off so fucking well. And she was like, well, it's really sad, like whenever the wrap, everything was wrapped up and all this stuff. And she's like, especially in episode 2, whenever Sansa dies and all, and she's like, and she played it off so well. And she like freaked out and started like shaking and like walked off the set. And Jimmy Fallon's like, oh my God. He's like, did I just like coax her like to tell me something?
Oh my God.
And he was like, oh shit. And then he like walks off stage and they come back out. It's like April Fool's. Like, I was
Oh
like,
my
holy
God.
shit. It got me. I was like, that was like, did she really just do that? And obviously I wasn't paying attention to the fucking day that it came out on.
Yeah.
It was like April 1st.
Imagine
I'm like,
being in the audience though.
Oh, yeah.
Like that while it was happening.
yeah. It kind of got silent. Everybody was just like, I don't think it was so much that shock factor, like, oh no, she just gave away part of Game of Thrones. I think they kind of felt bad because they actually thought that she did that and she'd probably get in a lot of
some
trouble.
kind of breach of I wonder what that's in your, how that plays out in your contract if you're in a
it's-
show like that.
Especially after the show is done.
Like a multi-million dollar
it's
penalty.
probably. I wonder if they pay them like per episode as they come out too, just in case if something were to be like leaked by accident, like you forfeit your right to like the rest of your money, or I don't know how that works, but it could not be good if somebody were to give something like that away. And being able to like film that and then like go back to your normal life, and people are gotta be bugging you, friends, family,
Right.
just being like, so what happens? And just being like almost as bad as working in the government and having to like keep your mouth shut about
Yeah.
stuff. It's like, my uncle's he I think he retired as a Master Chief from the Air Force, and there's some stuff that he's like, I can't talk about it, and he's been retired for a long time. Like you just can't talk about it. It's like, how can, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just crazy.
And some of those folks, like, they're probably a bit relieved in a way to be done with a show like that. Because like that pressure, it's like, all right, if I can just make it a few more weeks, like pressure's off
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
And you wonder how many of them feel that way, and then how many of them are like, I'll never be as part of something that's this successful again.
Right.
And it's like, is that a relief or is that a burden?
Well, actually, I saw an article the other day about there's a lot of TV, like, not TV, but, well, I don't know, I guess TV experts that have theorized that Game of Thrones might be the last occurrence that we see of a show like this, where, this massively successful, popular show that everyone sits down and watches at the same time every week.
Yeah.
Because of streaming services becoming so prevalent, and a lot of them just releasing like a season at a time, as opposed to how HBO does it, where it's one episode a week.
Yeah.
That this could be the last huge, as successful as Game of Thrones has been, occurrence of something happening this way.
I can see that,
Which I feel like to me, that's part of Game of Thrones. Like we do family night. So we'll have family dinner and we invite all of our friends over and cook a bunch of food. Everybody, hangs out, eats food, drinks, and then, at 9,
It's like, all right.
lights out. Everybody take a seat. Make sure you use the bathroom. Game of Thrones is on.
Yeah.
We're watching Game of
No
Thrones.
getting up. Like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yep.
Like, shut up. Don't talk. Cersei's on.
Yeah. God, I hate Cersei, but I loved her in the last season, man. Just
she is such a phenomenal actress.
She
so
is.
cold and
Oh, yeah.
vicious. And
The scene with the sept.
Yep. That's
Like,
for me. I was like, whoa, Cersei is awesome right
And what
now.
a fell swooping move too. I mean, like, it's that bittersweet victory of, you lose the High Sparrow, he's gone, and then all those weird zealot fucks, they're all dead. But then you have to lose Marjorie, and it's like, man, she was such an awesome character on the show, and now she's gone. But now you have this new Cersei arc where, Tommen and what happens with him, and now she's just completely off the fucking rails.
Yeah.
And that whole scene leads up to, I think, at least for me, one of the dynamics that I'm most interested in the next season is, Jaime leaves King's Landing. And now what?
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Fuck, I need to rewatch this last season.
Yeah.
Man.
Is
She's
he
like
going to
Mama
fight
Bear
against
right
her?
now,
Yeah.
too.
Is he going to fight against her? Is he trying to come up with some type of a way that they can, like,
And you would think with his
make
character
some type of
that
a
he would do
resolution?
that. Yeah.
Like, but then again, I mean, he's been so jaded so many times, like he had to deal with Euron with her and, all of that. And then I know this because I just watched this episode this morning, so it's super fresh in my mind. But like one of the last, favors that he granted for anyone was when, man, and now I can't remember her name, the Lady of Highgarden.
Shit.
The older woman, amazing actress.
Vanessa Redgrave?
Maybe I can't remember her name on the
that-
show.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember.
She's a
her name on the
Tyrell.
show.
Yeah. I forget.
Oh, I'm
I know who you're
embarrassed
talking
that I
about.
don't-
Marjorie's grandma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That scene with her in the castle in Highgarden, when she's like, how am I going to die? Are they going to do this? And, he basically tells her like, I went to bat for you. And, I told Cersei that, we were going to do it a different way. And then he gives her the poison and she's like, is this going to hurt? And he's like, no, it won't hurt. And then she downs it and immediately just tells him like, I'm the fucker that killed Joffrey. Like, fuck you, tell Cersei.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. I don't know what kind of a state of mind Jaime's going to be in. You know what I mean? Like, he's had a rough go.
Right.
He's had a real rough go.
And a lot of it has been because of trying to protect
trying to help
Cersei.
Cersei. Yeah.
Yep.
So is this the final straw? Is he over it? And then if he is, I mean, you got to think too, if he's going, so this was the first thing that I thought of in that pivotal scene when he's leaving King's Landing and the first snowfall lands. He has to face the Starks if that's where he's going. And he's the one that pushed Bran out of the window.
Yeah.
He's the one that kind of kicked this whole thing off.
He's got to pay
How
his
is that going
penance
to work?
somehow.
You know what I mean? Because, I mean, obviously, we as the viewer, we've seen this amazing character progression that he's gone through, but Jon doesn't know that. Arya doesn't know that. Sansa doesn't know that.
The Kingslayer that
Yeah.
destroyed my brother's
Yeah.
body. Yeah.
Yep.
Tyrion doesn't even know that,
Oh, Tyrion, what a good character
Oh,
he
yeah.
is, too.
I'm excited because like this is going to come out. This episode's going to come out like halfway. Because how many episodes are there? 8?
Or six or eight.
In
yeah,
this
something.
season, I think it's 6.
6. Yeah, this is going to come out probably like halfway through the season, so we can look back. On
Yeah,
this
we're
see,
going to be able
like,
to
how-
look back
see
on it and
you
be
know,
like, oh my God.
Oh, and how amazing is that going to be? Like if one of your theories plays
Like
out.
if the Hound is actually Azor
and
Ahai.
they like launch, and they drop that in like
Yeah.
the second or third.
It just-
episode.
okay.
Today is Sunday, April 7th. That way everybody's
Yeah,
got
so
that. This
right.
is, you know,
It's
that's- they were
definitely
recording-
it's definitely kind of a shot in the dark, right? But it's just, to me, like I said, nothing in Game of Thrones is ever as you think it should be.
Oh, yeah.
It always takes a left turn or several left turns. And I just think it's too obvious for Azor Ahai to be Jon Snow or Daenerys. Tyrion, okay, that seems a little bit, more of like a left fielder. But even then, a lot of people still think that would be, pretty likely, because I don't know if you've heard that theory that Tyrion is actually Rhaegar's bastard son, which is why when Tyrion was about to shoot Tywin with the crossbow, Tywin told him, "You're no son of mine," and that's why he's a halfling or a dwarf, not a halfling, dwarf.
Yeah.
Too much D&D.
Yeah, too much D&D. But and then Jamie, like that, they all just seem too obvious, But I would be okay if any one of those actually happened. I'm sure that they'll make it right and it'll turn out great on screen. But
See, maybe that's the whole,
I just think Hound is going to be it.
Is that everything's so unpredictable that it gets people thinking like this, but it's going to be.
Oh yeah, it could totally be a red herring.
Yeah.
It could totally be a red herring, like for sure, absolutely.
So it's hard to tell.
I don't know.
Or everybody just dies. I mean, it's hard to tell. Maybe the White Walkers fucking kill everybody, and
It's
hard to tell. I mean, fuck.
There's like
One
as I'm sitting and watching season 7, I'm coming across more and more questions that I'm like, how the fuck are we going to fit this all in one season? Like, who's the Night King? What does he want? How is Daenerys going to react to Jon whenever they get to Winterfell and Bran tells him the truth that he is technically the rightful heir to the throne?
You're thinking about it in too broad of an aspect because there's so many things that can happen to where those things might not take place. What if somebody dies? They're good at killing people off. Like, they might wrap up like a story arc like that, like with Bronn. Like, what if something happens? Like it's. I don't like to think too far ahead because I'm going to get my expectations up, and especially with Game of Thrones, like the whole Red Wedding
I don't
thing.
know. I don't know. I don't
think.
I don't think Bran can get killed off.
No, I'm not saying he's going to, but I'm saying something.
Like he
could
never gets to
happen.
have that conversation with Jon.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Things
That
like
would
that.
feel very shitty if
It
that
would.
never got to happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's the three-eyed raven. Like he's definitely going to be
Oh yeah.
very important to the upcoming season, I think. Or he should be.
Yeah,
He
I hope
needs
so.
to, yeah.
I hope so.
I hope we get to see more of his warg abilities. I want to see him warg into a dragon.
Oh, that'd be dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want more dragons too.
Yes.
I want some little baby dragons.
Yes.
Again, I like that.
So I already I did kind of predict one little thing that I think is going to be coming into play at some point. And that is, I think that the weapon that Cersei developed to kill the dragons is going to get used to kill the Night King's dragon. Maybe.
That would be great. Maybe Jamie could play a role in that.
I think that's going to go down.
Oh, I love talking about this stuff.
How long has this episode been going?
Oh, wow.
Hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So much for keeping it to an
Oh,
hour.
man.
Yeah.
This will be a longer episode. Whatever.
Yeah, that'll be all right.
Oh, Lordy.
fine.
Yeah.
So-
Whoops. I need to text my friend and my wife.
I am alive. Everything
We
is
just
okay.
talked about Star Wars and Game of Thrones. So we probably should
Maybe
go
wrap
it up. Yeah.
Well, before we do that, how do people get a hold of your music?
So we've got physical copies. We're on Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, all that. We're on the internet, blackholezion.com, all the various social media things. I tend to ramble. So sometimes if somebody contacts me, I tend to ramble in typing as well. So, but yeah, I mean, anywhere you get music, you can get our stuff. So
Cool.
all over.
Instagram, Facebook, all that.
Yeah, we're on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. I tend to use Instagram the most. I think I like
it's the best
Instagram
one right now,
the best.
honestly.
It's a mixture of serious things and then me being a jerk
Yeah.
sometimes.
Post some pictures with Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, and Reba McEntire. I couldn't go the whole episode and not mention Reba because that's like an inside joke
saw something the
that
other
culminated a while back, and we played. I convinced everybody in the band that we were going to cover "Fancy" the tune that Reba made popular.
That is a damn good
And,
song.
I
by
like
the way.
that song a
Just
lot,
saying.
but they're like, this is awful, and it's like I just like guilted them into like indulging me to play it. They're like, all right, you've cashed in all your favors with with your friends. But thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
on.
man.
I like talking to you a lot. So
Yeah, thanks for being
Let's
on.
do this again.
Yeah,
I would love that.
we'll
Absolutely.
do a post Game of Thrones
There we go.
Yeah.
episode.
Well, I'm actually starting up another podcast. It's called After Atlas After Hours, where we just get together and just talk about random shit. It's nothing to do with the band. We're gonna talk about like some band stuff, but like having people on to talk about just whatever. And with our bassist and drummer being that big into Star Wars, you'd love talking to them.
Oh,
So I'll
yeah.
have to get you on there.
Yeah, let's do it.
because they none of them watch Game of Thrones.
You have to
though.
talk slow for Marshall.
Yeah, we got him good with the. I don't know if you listened to the After Atlas episode.
Huh.
Chris, we make fun of Marshall because we call him a flat earther.
Oh God.
So we went to like almost the entire episode, and Chris was just like, I've been meaning to ask this. He's like, I didn't know how to like really segue into this whole conversation. He's like, what the fuck is up with the flat Earth, dude? Like, just calls him.
Is he seriously a flat earther?
No, he just likes conspiracy theories.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
Yeah,
So you
like,
just you
the
take it to
lunar
the most
landing isn't fake.
extreme.
JFK's
Yeah.
assassination.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like
the
that kind of
Titanic
stuff.
was really a different ship. All this
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Oh,
so
man.
all sorts of crazy stuff. But yeah, so we'll have to get you on that.
I
for
would
sure.
absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we do it in character? Like, can we like role play it as like different Star Wars characters?
Yeah, you can do that.
God.
Yeah.
I don't know how long I could handle Jar Jar for, but man, I bet you I could get like 5 minutes of
just pure-
role playing Jar Jar.
We'll just introduce you as Jar Jar and just
Here with Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, that would be excellent. Yeah.
So-
but no, thank you very much for having me. I
yeah,
had fun
it's
talking.
no
to
problem.
you
Thank you
guys.
for coming out.
And thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.